Hi, my name's John. I'm a Wikipedian and I help to run the Kurdish Wikipedia project. Today I'm going to do a very basic introduction to editing Wikipedia, creating an account, editing using the visual editor, and talking about some of the rules that you'll need to understand, the guidelines that Wikipedia has governing how you're supposed to edit. And I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, because it will be translated into Kurdish by my friend Jeremy, who lives in Kurdistan, Iraqi Kurdistan, and is a teacher there. So he's going to translate this into Kurdish, and hopefully it will be of some use to people in the Kurdistan region who want to understand how to edit Wikipedia in order to contribute to the Kurdish Wikipedia or any other language version of Wikipedia. There are 305, 306 different versions of Wikipedia in different languages at the moment. There are two in Kurdish, one in Kurmanji, which is just called Kurdish Wikipedia, and one in Sorani, which is called Sorani Wikipedia. Both of these versions of Wikipedia have around 35,000 articles, which is not a great deal of articles compared to English, which has 6 million articles, German has 2.5 million articles, Spanish, French, Italian all have 1.5 million to 2 million articles. So the idea is that we would like to encourage Kurdish speakers to work on the Kurdish Wikipedias so that Kurdish people can learn about the world and get information in their own language, can contribute to that information and help other people to learn in Kurdish, and to make sure that there's content available on the internet in Kurdish to keep people learning the language and to keep it alive as a digital language. So I am going to go to Wikipedia now, and this is the Wikipedia homepage. You can search for a language here. I'm going to do this in English because I don't speak Kurdish, but hopefully everything that I do on the English Wikipedia will be transferable to the Kurdish Wikipedias. The different language versions of Wikipedia are not exactly the same as each other, and the Kurdish Wikipedias won't have some features that the English Wikipedia does, but most of the features will be there, so hopefully anything that I show you how to do on the English Wikipedia is doable in exactly the same way on the Kurdish Wikipedias or any other language version of Wikipedia that you want to use. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to go to Create Account. When you go to Create Account, if you don't see this screen, but the website says that your IP address has been blocked, it may be that you are using a virtual private network, which would mean that the IP address that you were using to connect to Wikipedia would be blocked by administrators, because shared IP addresses like VPN addresses are often used to vandalize Wikipedia. Equally, the reason that you want to create an account is because when you edit Wikipedia pages, it will keep a record of the account name that made the edit, and if you are not signed into Wikipedia, then it records your IP address. And somebody who is editing Wikipedia from an IP address and hasn't created an account or hasn't signed into an account is assumed to not be taking it as seriously as somebody who has created an account, and your edits will be probably looked at more closely by other editors and possibly deleted more easily if you're not editing from an account. So it's always advisable to start editing from an account, because it keeps a record of all of the edits that you've made, and it shows other editors that you are a serious editor who is committed to the principles of Wikipedia and of improving the quality and quantity of knowledge on the website. So hopefully you do see this screen that allows you to create an account, and you are going to want to select your account name. Let's say Kurdistan Wiki. So now I've created my account, the first thing I'm going to do is to look up here and see that I have some tabs, including my username here, which is in red, as well as Talk and Sandbox, which are in red. These are what we call red links, which means that they are links to a page that doesn't have anything on it at the moment. And so the first thing you are going to want to do is to go to your username and write something on your user page to tell other editors why you are there and what your interests are. So at the moment I'm currently in the visual editor. When you go to edit this page, you might initially be in the source editor, but if you click on this pen icon, you can change between visual editor and source editor. The source editor is the older version of editing, the older method for editing Wikipedia, and the visual editor is a newer version which has only existed since 2012. So before that you needed to understand some what we call wiki markup language, which is what you edit in the source editor, which includes some tags and some basic sort of bits of code that allow you to create templates and info boxes and things like that. So you still need to use the source editor for some things in Wikipedia, but in general you're going to be editing in the visual editor. If we go to the Preferences tab, we can make sure that you are always offered the option to edit either in the source editor or the visual editor by changing editing mode to show me both editor tabs and clicking Save. The other thing that I would personally turn on when I create a new Wikipedia account is the translation tool, which is a very useful tool that can be used to translate Wikipedia articles from one language version of Wikipedia where they do exist into another language version of Wikipedia where they don't already exist. And that is still a beta feature at the moment. So in your preferences, if you go to beta features and you go down to the bottom and turn on the content translation tool and click Save, that will give you the option to translate articles by going to Contributions, Translate. Now we have a message in our notices section which has thanked us for making our first edit to our user page. You will get notifications here when other people thank you for your edits, when they leave you messages on your talk page, when your articles are reviewed, and so on. So that's useful for keeping up to date with feedback on edits that you have already made. Your sandbox here is a place where you can play around and you can draft articles. This is a template which I can simply delete. And if I open another tab and we go to a random article, let's say, for example, if I wanted to improve this article, what I could do is to go to the Edit tab, copy all of this text and go back to my sandbox and place it in here. And then I could edit it in here, improve it, and then go back to the original page and paste my edits in there. Rather than adding little edits to this page, I can completely go and overhaul it in my sandbox and then paste it back into the original page. In general in Wikipedia, if you want to know how to do something, a good idea is to go to another article which is similar to that thing that you want to do and copy what that article does, the layout, the template, the info box or whatever, and then improve it in your sandbox or in the article that you're going to improve. So let's have a look at some of the tools that you have when you go into the visual editor. As we've seen here, you can switch between the visual editor and the source editor. And here we have, apart from the formatting options here, these two are probably going to be quite important, the link and the citation tool. Wikipedia is, as I said, a summary of other sources, so you're always going to want to cite any piece of information that you write on Wikipedia. If you write something without any reference or citation, another editor could question it, could ask you to add a citation if they think that it's probably true, but you haven't shown that it's true, or they could simply delete it by saying that you hadn't substantiated the fact that you had written in Wikipedia. So, as we can see in this article here, most of the lines have a reference after them. We can click on this reference and see what it is, and we can go to the reference and see, in this case, the link has expired. We could go to the Internet Archive site and see if there is a cached version of the page from a while ago that we could go and replace this this citation with a cached version of the page. And as you can see, there are some links, internal links within Wikipedia to another Wikipedia page which is relevant to this article. We have links to all of the pages of various senators who co-sponsored this legislation, so we can have a look at the Wikipedia pages of these politicians and various other aspects of legislation and governance around Native American languages in the United States of America. So really, what we've got here is a text editor very similar to what you would get with Word or Google Docs, even more simple in many respects, but it's more the culture of Wikipedia, the guidelines, the rules and guidelines that you kind of need to understand in order to become a good Wikipedia editor. So what are those guidelines? First of all, well, one of the most important set of rules about Wikipedia is what we call the 5 pillars. These rules are quite obvious in many respects, but they're worth thinking about and bearing in mind when you are editing Wikipedia to make sure that the content that you're editing and adding to Wikipedia is appropriate for the website and follows the guidelines and policies that have been created by other users. Number one is Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. This may seem obvious, but you could also argue that the concept of an encyclopedia is a inherently Western Enlightenment concept that is not necessarily appropriate to some cultures. For example, cultures that have big oral histories that you can't easily record in an encyclopedia. So obviously there are certain rules and guidelines and expectations to the way in which an encyclopedia is going to be written. Wikipedia's style is quite dry, scientific or encyclopedic, as we say. It's not supposed to be literature. It's not supposed to be comedy. It's not supposed to be particularly interesting in some ways. It's supposed to give people basic factual information in a neutral way, a neutral, unbiased way, rather than being something that's entertaining. And of course, it's Wikipedia is not a soapbox where people go and argue for certain points of view. It's not an advertising platform where businesses write business profiles or profiles of their executives, although obviously there are people who go and do and write those kind of vanity articles for businesses or for businessmen, politicians, and so on. And in general, other editors will come along and try to remove content that is seen to be biased or non-neutral point of view. One of the primary guidelines to bear in mind is the neutral point of view guideline. Now, obviously, that's not always easy when you go to Wikipedia because you feel a particular way about a subject. The reason that there are different encyclopedias in different languages is because the attitude or outlook of the Kurdish encyclopedias may well be different from the English encyclopedia, the German encyclopedia, the Arabic encyclopedia, the Turkish encyclopedia, the Farsi encyclopedia, and so on. We wouldn't expect there to be articles that are exactly the same about important historical figures like Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, like Abdullah Öcalan, people who who are controversial figures, who different people have different attitudes towards. So we try and keep it as factual as possible, to what we can say are facts about a person, rather than bringing in our own opinions about them. We try to keep to the summary of what the major sources and points of view about a person or a place or a thing are. So it's important to use reliable sources, and one of the other major policies of Wikipedia is the Reliable Sources Guidelines, which you can check out to have a look. At least you can in English. I don't know entirely whether this policy exists in the same way in the Kurdish encyclopedias, but certainly on the English encyclopedia there is a big policy about what is considered to be a reliable source. This is perhaps easier in English because there are a lot of academic journals and publications that are in English which wouldn't necessarily exist in Kurdish. So there may be quite different guidelines on the Kurdish Wikipedia about what's considered to be a reliable source. There are obviously there's less sources available in Kurdish, so it may be that sources that are not considered to be reliable quality sources in English, for example, blogs and some blogs and some other self-published websites that wouldn't be acceptable sources in English may be acceptable in Kurdish. But you should have a look at the policy guidelines on the Kurdish Wikipedia to see what they say about what is the reliable sources guideline for the Kurdish Wikipedia, because there probably is one of those. As I said, on the English Wikipedia, there is a very big list of definitions of a source, of what is reliable and so on. And going along with the reliable sources guidelines, there is also the Notability Guideline. The basic Notability Guideline will tell you what is considered reliable by the standards of, in this case, English Wikipedia. Now, again, this may be different on the Kurdish Wikipedia, but there is a lot of guidelines about what is considered to be a notable subject matter for a Wikipedia article in English. And the basic Notability Guideline is: if a topic has received significant coverage in reliable sources that are independent of the subject, it's presumed to be suitable for an article. So, significant coverage means not just one article, it means a bunch of different articles at different times about different things. They have to be reliable sources, well-known newspapers, academic journals, and they have to be sources that are independent of the subject, so not somebody writing about themselves, but what somebody else has written about them. So there are a lot of other guidelines on Wikipedia that you can have a look at, but I think the best thing to do is to just get stuck in and to try and find an article that you could improve, and to start helping to improve that article. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's an interesting question as to where to start when you want to edit Wikipedia, because everybody's different, everybody has different interests. But it's definitely easier but it's definitely easier to edit about subjects that don't have a lot of content about them at the moment on Wikipedia. So it's going to be much easier to edit on the Kurdish Wikipedias because there's a lot less content there and there's a lot of articles that need to be created. On the English Wikipedia, one of the things that I do to find articles that need to be improved is to go to the Wiki project Kurdistan. Wiki project pages are summaries of the information that Wikipedia has about a certain subject. So if we go to Wiki project Wikipedia Wiki project Kurdistan. As I said, Wikipedia is, it's not that easy to search internally. It's easier to find what you want by searching on Google. If you search Google for Wiki project Kurdistan, you'll find this page quite easily. So this is a project page that organises the work of people who want to improve articles about the Kurdistan region. So I found an article about the University of Rojava, which is a very limited article and could be improved considerably. I've gone and searched on Google for articles in the news section about the University of Rojava, and I found a couple of articles which have interesting recent information which could be added to the Wikipedia page. For example, speaking to Kurdistan 24, the co-president of Rojava University in Karmishli said that the university began a new program of online lectures on Kurdish linguistics and literature as a result of the coronavirus outbreak. So we can add this piece of information to the Wikipedia page. I'm just going to copy the URL of the page, and I'm going to click on edit, and you can see we've got edit and edit source for the two different versions, which we can also access here. And I'm going to add that in 2020, the university moved some of its courses online as a result of the coronavirus outbreak. I am then going to use that URL and go cite, because this is a new Wikipedia account I've created. It's going to give me these tips when there's a blue thing that pops up. Again, I don't know if this happens on the Kurdish Wikipedias, but after you click OK, it won't show you these tips anymore. So I'm going to copy my, and again, Kurdish Wikipedia may not have this automatic citation generator that English Wikipedia has. So you may have to manually enter, as you can do on the English Wikipedia as well, the URL and any other information you want to add, such as the name of the author and the date and so on. But on the English Wikipedia, you can often generate a citation from this automatic citation generator. It doesn't work exactly well on every single website. I found on Kurdistan 24 it often misses the title of the article, but what I do is I just click on insert and then edit, and then I can go and copy the title of the article in here and then save that, and there will be no errors there. The other thing that I can do, of course, is to highlight this text and click on link. And this will search Wikipedia for the for relevant articles based on the text that you've highlighted. And of course, here is the main article on the 2019 to 20 coronavirus pandemic, and we can click on this and it adds a link here. I found another article about a course for women that is given at the University of Rojava, and I've added a piece of information about that in here. I'm going to cite that again. And insert that citation. Now, before I save it, this article could look a lot better if it had an info box on the right-hand side. And an info box, if we go to the Wikipedia page of another university, let's say the university that I went to in London. And as I said, one thing that you can do on Wikipedia, if you want to know how to do something and you don't know how to do it, like for example this info box for this university, you can simply go to the Wikipedia page and look at the source code and find this template here, which is Infobox University, and we will copy it into the source code for the University of Rojava. Now, of course, we don't have a logo yet. I'm not sure that we have a website for the university. There is a logo here. So I'm finding the coordinates of Rojava University from Google Maps by clicking on the approximate location and copying the coordinates from here. Now I finished updating the information in the info box, so I'm going to go back to the visual editor and see what it looks like. And we can see that there is now some basic information in an info box here about the university, which other people can hopefully add to at a later date. Now, of course, the other thing I could have done is to copy the entire article into my sandbox and work on improving it there before going and publishing my edits onto the main page. But in general, I prefer to just make my edits to the page itself. So I'm going to click Publish Changes. And here it's more important for me to say what I changed on the page, because this will be added to as an edit summary of the edit that I have just made, where I added a couple of pieces of information and added an info box. So I'm going to say added information from 2 citations and info box. And I'm going to click watch this page so that I can be notified of any further edits that take place to it by other people. And I'm going to click publish. And because this is a new account that I have And because this is a new account that I have just created, it's going to ask me to put in a captcha. And there I have made a useful update to the University of Rojava's page. Now, obviously, there are a lot more core articles on the Kurdish Wikipedias that need creating and updating before we get to articles about even institutions like university. I'm sure that there are lots of medical articles, articles about places in Kurdistan that currently don't exist in Kurdish. There'll be lots and lots of articles that you will find it very easy to find information to add to, because there won't be a lot of information on the Kurdish Wikipedia. I think that's enough for this first initial introduction to Wikipedia video. I'm happy to do other videos on particular aspects of editing. If there are questions that you have, feel free to ask me, and hopefully this video will be translated into Kurdish soon, so that you can also watch it with Kurdish subtitles, and hopefully it will inspire you to improve the Kurdish Wikipedias in your own free time. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.